Take this drink right from my hand. I'll steer us back to land before we go to the darker side of this black hole, this abyss. I feel us sinking down, but with my crew, I know that we can sail. We can sail. It's the Lyrical Wax. The Lyrical Wax. Those were the lyrics of Greg Perez, singer of pirate metal band Lagerstein. Don't have the full pirate outfit, but I did wear my frilly shirt for this. My name's PurpleZain. I'm a musician and producer and lover of music, but I'm also a professional psychologist, owner and operator of Chill Psychology and Tweed Heads. I was really looking forward to doing this podcast because although Greg's lyrics are all about swashbuckling pirate adventures, there's actually a little bit more to them about his own personal experiences that are written between the lines. So, the Lyrical Wax Podcast, Lagerstein edition. Here we go. Alrighty, we have Captain Gregor from Lagerstein. Good to see you on the Lyrical Wax Podcast.
Ahoy Zane, ahoy Prince of Tweed. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And you look dapper as always. I love the shirt. And I'm so keen to be a part of this. Let's go.
Right off the bat, I haven't worn this one in quite some time, but I had to pull out the frilly shirt for the Lagerstein. I was going to get the dangly earrings and everything, but I thought I'd probably rattle around too much on the speaker and everything, so I thought I won't go too over the top. And I don't actually own the pirate hat, so I couldn't do the whole thing. But the frilly shirt, why not? Pull out the frilly shirt. So yes, very good. Got to get into character.
I don't know. I don't own a pirate hat either.
Okay, maybe you did once, but you probably lost it in the crowd several years ago, I'd imagine. Maybe. Okay.
100%.
Alrighty, cool. Well, good to have you on. Good to have you on the Lyrical Wax Podcast. So we're going to have a deep dive into your lyrics from Lagerstein, and I'm really looking forward to this. We had a bit of a chat before we started this, when we were lining this up, about, some of these songs, even though they're all very pirate adventure songs, there's actually a little bit more meaning to them. So really good opportunity for some of the Lagerstein fans and just people in general. Maybe, just see a little bit more in depth of your lyrical prowess. So I'm really looking forward to get into it. But hang on. Also, we got to introduce your cabin boy there while he's on deck. Greg, introduce your cabin boy, please.
This is cabin boy Odin. Sit, buddy. He's very excited to be on the Lyrical Wax Podcast as well. He'll be a silent partner in today's evening, but he will be my support for this evening. So he's in the crowd. He'll be here, just lurking around the cabin.
Good on you, Odin. Has he got earbuds in? Probably not. Okay. Alrighty.
He's got him. He's listening. He's just not going to talk. He's not going to say much.
Well, at least he's not one of those little yappy chows, I'll tell you what. So that's good. He's not going to interrupt too much. Alrighty, good stuff. So how we always sort of start off the Lyrical Wax Podcast, even though it is very much about the lyrics, we like to have a little bit of a chat with maybe, I'll move your camera just a little bit over, get yourself over the side a bit. We always like to have a little bit of a chat about, the person's background, bit of who they are, where they came from, how they grew up, because it can be sort of actually helpful putting things in context about their lyrics. And often when we get to the end, it's like, oh, well, that sort of explains a lot with why you're writing the way you are. So, Greg, maybe right off the bat, a little bit about, sort of where you grew up, maybe a little bit about your family, anything that you think sort of relevant, and maybe if something comes up that I find interesting, I might get you to expand on. But yeah, just tell us a little bit about where you grew up and a bit about yourself from being a little cabin boy yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So, like yourself, Prince, I was maybe not like yourself. I was born in the beautiful Tweed Heads. So it's another honour to be on this podcast with the Tweed. So I was born in Tweed Heads, 1992 I was born, and grew up in the lovely area of Tweed, God's country we call it. It's just just such a great spot to grow up with. The best beaches in the world just right at your doorstep, and then some beautiful nature on the other side. So we had the best of both worlds in that sense of we lived just such a great upbringing. Always in the water, always so that's another thing why the pride thing comes into play, because I've always been a fan of water, and so I guess that's a big part of my journey with this endeavour. So it was a great childhood. Mum and Dad were really supportive. They're still together after 50 plus years, and it was really great to have such a supporting and loving and caring upbringing. And my family was just always by my side and pushing me to do better. So it was really good that Mum pushed all of us. I have two brothers, and they just pushed us in whatever direction that we wanted to go, and we wanted to be whatever we wanted to do. We could do it basically, and as long as we were doing something, they were pretty happy. So they really pushed my music and my speech and drama career pretty hard. So I was on the stage at Wollongbar Stedfords. Shout out to Wollongbar Stedfords. I was on that stage since I was probably 4 years old, and performing, doing speech and drama. I was pretty good, not to ring my own bell, but I was pretty good back in those days, and I was winning golds every contest I go in, until I was about 11 or 12, and this chick came along, and she was just so good, blew me out of the water, and I had no chance after that. That was the first time a woman broke my heart, but that's another story. But yeah, it was really great to be able to grow up in such a arty sort of place where people really push your talents, and they really love art, and it's good to call Tweed home, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely Tweed. The Tweed Valley sort of known, sort of Byron and that's sort of known for its artistic merits, but we're all part of that same sort of area, aren't there? And there is actually a very strong artistic undercurrent in this area. I'd have to agree. But actually, I'm glad you sort of brought that up, because I was going to ask you a little bit about, there's definitely the theatrics to the songs, and B, your side, the stage show and your song. So I was actually going to ask, was that part of, were you a theatre kid and all that? And you've already sort of answered it. So again, it does sort of explain that side of things. All those gold medals you were getting there, that's your treasure. That was the treasure when you were 10, wasn't it? But so I don't have to necessarily ask more about that, but maybe then in that sense, when did you start going from that sort of more speech and drama, theatre side of things into the music and the bands and all that? Were you in a high school band, or did you sort of I don't know, did you discover punk rock or something and booze, and then you went, I'm getting off the theatre stage and I'm going to go to the punk stage, or anything like that? Or tell us about getting into sort of the metal, rock bands and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, okay. So my brothers were always into hardcore bands growing up, so I think that's where my influence came from. With Frost and Thursday and Bench Sevenfold, Parkway Drive, obviously, and the list goes on. But Morning Tide, that's a nice local drop in for you. But yeah, I think that once I got that love for heavy metal, and I kind of my music story goes, I was doing musicals at just the Tweed Heads musical theatre company, and so I was doing that, and then I went to always in bands at school since I was probably 13, 14. I was always either singing for someone or playing a bit of piano for someone, and then I started up a covers band where we just play weddings and birthdays and stuff like that. And that did pretty well with just a couple of my closest schoolmates. And so we played a lot of shows there, and that gave me a good first reaction of how to deal in a band, and the good times and the bad times, and just the basics, very very much so. But it was a great start for everything. And then from there, I just kind of was.
And you were always in those bands. You were, sorry to interrupt there, but you were always like the singer, the vocalist, whatever band you're in. You were always like the singer or the vocalist for those bands, I'd imagine, during that time. So you were writing lyrics as well for all those bands. Well, not the cover one, but you were writing lyrics from like high school age.
Yeah, for sure. It was always frontman, and I think that with my upbringing of acting, that gave me that confidence on stage. And people will be kind of surprised, I guess, because I was pretty quiet. But I'd be like, a different person on the stage, like just that young as I still am now, sort of thing. So I think that, and then from that progression, it was doing bands and just different sort of outfits with random things. So it was good. And then I was going to uni for jazz vocals. And
that's cool to know.
Behold, I came across a poster. At the Conservatory of Music in Southend. So it was a course, and I wasn't that into jazz as I should have been, but I did it, and it was good. And then lo and behold, I was there at uni one day and saw a poster for Lagerstein looking for a new vocalist, and it was just a nice big picture, like a big colourful picture with pirates and very animated, loud and bright and stuff, big words. Do you like partying? Do you like rum? Do you like singing songs about pirates? And I was like, 50-50, but it's got my attention. And from then on, it's history. Yeah, I went and did the interview with the boys and tryouts, and it took me in.
Okay, so there's a couple of things there. It's already all making sense when you're sort of reeling all this off. You're doing a very good job at preempting my follow up questions. But the first thing I'll sort of say, it is kind of funny. I've known people that have gone on to the con and things like that, and unfortunately, you can study classical, you can study jazz. What's the closest you're probably going to get to modern music? But yeah, unfortunately, the con doesn't offer heavy metal singing, does it? So it's a bit of a shame, but it's just how things go. Anyone who's watched you sing, I've seen a lot. I'm sure everyone who's watched you sing, you've got exceptional. You got an exceptional microphone technique, and like whether without, because people who have it, it's either because they've just been singing for so long in bands, or they've probably been trained. So I could say that's again that little bit. Did you actually finish Did you finish the degree at university for the jazz singing?
No, I didn't finish it. I had a jaw operation halfway through. I had a back front bite, so I did this one instead of the normal bite. So I had to get some bone taken out of my jaw, and they pushed back and screw it in. Basically, it was a big procedure, and it put me out for half a year. And then I went to go back, and I was just behind, and it was just like an awkward. I was in a really random spot where no one else was at my stage of the uni course, and it was just hard for me to relate to, basically. So, plus I was I was starting touring with Lagerstein, and I was either go to Europe for a while or stay at uni. And I thought, well, why wouldn't I go do what I'm practicing to do? I don't know if that's a good way to look at it, but that's how.
Yeah, I can imagine anyone. A lot of people who listen to this podcast are musicians and stuff. So I think pretty much everyone listening to this would have taken option B, what was go tour through Europe with a bunch of rum swilling pirates for sure. So yeah, there's definitely no judgment on that one. So again, you're sort of answering my questions a little bit before I get to them, but it does make my job easier. But one of my questions that I did have written here that sort of goes with that sort of answer where you said you saw the ad 50-50. So I was curious because I did know that the sort of Lagerstein was around before. You weren't like the original beginning singer, right? But what was that first impression? You know, there's an option. You know, you've been in lots of bands and stuff, but was that poster obviously was, you know, and I know what I love about Lagerstein is they're about everything, the visuals, the art, and the whole thing. That was enough to draw you in, but you sort of said 50-50. Like, is it? You know, what was that sort of like, that first introduction to the band and them sort of pitching to you, you know, this is what we do. And, I mean, obviously you could sing good enough and you love the heavy music, but what was that experience like? That's what I'm curious to know. And like how you went, and did they have to sort of push for you? Did they chase you, or you sort of realized, oh, this is cool? You know, give us a bit about that.
So this is a great story, Zane. I love telling this story and I tell it all the time actually. So, yeah, I saw this poster, and like I said, it was very colourful, very loud. Singer wanted to do like rum partying, and I thought, well, yeah, I do love partying, and I love rum and pirates. Like, I've played pirates. I was in a musical and did pirates with Tweed Heads maybe, I don't know, 20 years ago.
Pirates are the Pirates of
I've played
PurpleZain.
pirates on stage before, so it's Pirates of Penzance, but Tweed Heads version. They rewrite the scripts to make it more tweed, I guess. I don't know.
Is there any footage? Can I watch your mum's VHS? Can I watch your mum's VHS video footage of that from when she was in the audience filming it? Please get that up on YouTube. Or just send it to me if you're a bit embarrassed.
I'm sure. I'm sure that it's out there somewhere. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, all right, I'll give it a go, I'll give it a shot. And I called the number up, and the first person I met out of the band was Phil, massive Phil. So I don't know if you remember seeing him before.
The bass player?
Or I don't know, and I'm sure a lot of our fans will remember him anyway, the bass player, yep. He was just an absolute giant. He was Hagrid. That's the best way that I can describe him. If you think of Hagrid, that's
I remember.
Or the immobilising. So I met him. He was my first. Now I was like, holy fuck, this man is huge. I've never met someone so big in my life, basically. And he takes me in, and the first thing he does is ask me if is drug references okay on this one?
Yeah, of course. We've got to talk about what we've got to talk about.
Yeah. So the first thing he did is invite me in and said, "Oh, do you want a bomb?" And I said, "Oh, like I didn't smoke that much, and I was just I was pretty nervous as it was, but I was me being wanting to be cool. I'm like, yeah, sure, no worries." And I had. He brings out the biggest bomb that I've ever seen in my life, and I smoked it, and I was like, I was feeling all right. So, and then he's like, all right, sweet. Do you want a beer? And I was like, oh fuck! I don't know. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I think I have to go back to uni later this Saturday. I'm like, fuck yeah, right, no worries. I'll have a beer. Gives me a beer. He's like, all right, but you have to scull it. So I'm not going to argue with a 8-foot behemoth of a man. It's not that I'm sitting on his couch, and I sculled that bad boy pretty quickly, and he said, all right, nice, you can party. Now, can you sing? And he takes me over to his big grand piano, and he's an amazing musician. He's one of those musicians who can pick up any instrument, and you wouldn't really think that looking at him because he's just so big. His size obviously puts you off thinking that he's actually a very talented musician. Can play any instrument, picks it up and just butter in his hands. So he takes me over to the grand piano, and he busts out some tunes, and he said, "Oh, what do you want to sing?" I said, "Oh, And he said, "Oh, do you know any musical theatre?" And I popped up a few songs, and he played it, and he loved it. And then I sang one of his songs for him, the Lagerstein songs, and he's like, "All right, sweet." Pretty happy with that, and he was like, "All right, we'll go meet the boys tomorrow night for jam practice." That was in 8 Mile Plains, and I went there, met all the boys, and they were all fantastic. High fives, all time high fives. Every time you see each other, high fives, and that's still today. And it's just such a great way to greet someone. Every time they see anyone, they high five. It doesn't matter if it was the Prime Minister of Australia. I reckon they go for a high five. And it's such a positive, great way to meet someone. To greet someone, on a daily basis. It gets your blood pumping just by that little action. And I think that from then on, I was just kind of drawn to these guys, to be like these guys, really positive people that you really want to be around. And people who make you skull beer. So the first thing I did when I walked into their house, and they're like, "All right, let's go beer bong." And they gave me a beer bong, and they said that they auditioned 12 different people to get into the band or something like that, around that number. And they made everyone do a beer bong, asked everyone to do a beer bong. And they said only half of them did it. And I was shocked. I was like, free beer bong, I'm not going to argue with that. But yeah, the jam with them, and they were stoked. Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally that's just part of the audition process, I couldn't imagine there was a panel filling out forms as you go, when you go for a normal sort of job. But they would have to make sure you're capable of knocking back a couple of drinks and still being able to sing and perform. Because if not, it doesn't matter if you're the best singer in the world. If you can't knock a few back and get on stage with them, it just wouldn't work, would it? So yeah, it's a totally understandable part 100%. Of the audition process.
Now I'm an expert at
it. Yeah. So for better or worse, right? Okay, cool. So yeah, and here we are today.
This is water, I swear.
Yeah, I don't mind if the guests have a drink or whatnot when I do this, but because I sort of try and do this under the psychology umbrella, I just drink juice. So this is juice, I swear. No pina coladas in the Bahamas, as we'll get into a little bit later. But if you want to have a beer, you vape it? No, you haven't had a vape yet. I've had a lot of people vape as well. All right. So cool. Yeah. Look. So a good bit of backstory. A good bit of backstory. A bit about yourself growing up. Good supportive parents that were really happy to encourage you to do the music and the entertainment, and obviously you loved it as well. A lot of singing and stuff. A lot of the fact that you're grew up in the musical theatre, speech and drama scene. Definitely makes sense as well. And then the way you met the boys and how they brought you into the band, and also another good story. So yes, I like it all. Alrighty. So I'll probably actually, but before we just get into the lyrics that you sent through, in the early days, did the band members write, they obviously had a few lyrics and stuff, and you learnt their songs, but then sort of as time went on, you started writing your own, or did some of the boys still write the songs? And I know you got sort of some concept album style stuff, so is that sort of this is the theme, or you get together and chat about this is a good story for an album, and then you're working on it together? Maybe just give us a little bit about how the lyrics come together, and then after that we'll get specifically into your lyrics. But just, maybe from the early days of the lyrics and sort of, writing songs, how did that sort of start, and even to point, how's it happening now?
So yeah, they had their first album, Drink Till We Die, with the previous singer, Dale, or Ultra Lord. He was he's a great vocalist, and he was just a very talented individual, and it still is, and still plays in different bands and stuff. And he had a really solid vocal range, and he wrote the first album pretty much just by himself. He was just a really I want to say like a fantastic brain on him, and so just the shit that he came out with was crazy and very natural. Where being a pirate isn't the most easiest, forthcoming thing sometimes. So it just came very naturally to him. So he wrote some awesome lyrics, basically, and then from there, I joined the band after that, and that was he made the first album, and then I've done the previous two after that. I've done a fair chunk of the majority of the lyric writing, but the boys definitely all still write a fair bit as well. I don't want to say that I'm not going to write all albums and I'm not a sole writer, but I think that they have definitely a big part in writing, especially when it comes to the concept album thing. And if we all sit down and just brainstorm out some lyrics, sometimes it's a really good way to form something that you didn't really know was there, but it's come into place and it's really found its own in the album. So it's a big mix of everyone. But I like to say that I definitely have a solid.
Yeah. And I think for what you guys do, everyone being on board and as a team would be pretty necessary. If you're someone like Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails or Al Jorgens from Ministry, it's a bit like My Way or the Highway sort of thing. But for your band, having everyone aboard and involved and on the concept and everything would definitely work a lot better. So I get that. Okay. So what I think we might do now,
100%.
we might move on to part two, what is actually getting into the lyrics that you sent through to me. And again, just to confirm, though, based on that last conversation, everything you sent through, though, was pretty much 100% written by yourself, the songs you sent through?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, well, let's get going then. The very first one you sent through, and I will also note that you wrote above the song, this is one of my favorite all-time Lagerstein songs. So I might as well make a point of that. You put it into you typed it out for the lyrics. So I might as well tell everyone that as well. I hope you don't mind. But the song is called "Off the Map." Well, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Everyone's got to have everyone's got their favorite song from their band, and we're not playing the songs here, but just listen. I'm sure this would be great live. It's just got that. It'd just be a great song to play live, just between the music and the lyrics and the chanting and everything. So I could get where you get a little bit extra bonus excited when it gets to this song in your set. But here we go. So how it works as well, because this podcast is kind of new. You send it through to me. I have a bit of a read and get through them, and then highlight the lyrics that I like or think are interesting. And I'll give a little bit of my interpretation of it, but I don't always get it right. But I like to give a little bit of feedback, right or wrong. Please tell me if I'm wrong. And then, maybe then hand it over you to expand on a little bit. And I will say too, when I spoke to Greg about this, there was, we did sort of speak about maybe some lyrics that have maybe a little bit more meaning behind them than just the lyrics on the page. So I did sort of try and reading between the lines a little bit too, but so that's why I'll give my opinion, but I definitely want to actually hear your your input as well. But let's get the ball rolling with first song, Off the Map. So here we go. Holy shit. I was going to do a pirate accent, but I can't do a good one, so I'm just going to read it in my normal accent. Okay. Holy shit. We're off the map. No rivers, no mountains, no footprint tracks. 3 sheets to the wind has got us lost. Sailing over the ocean's falls, see our ships going down. So again, like just from a purely lyrical point of view, surface level, we're setting up a nice, exciting pirate adventure here. But as we go on, take this drink right from my hand. I'll steer us back to land. Before we go to the darker side of this black hole, this abyss, I feel us sinking down. But with my crew, I know that we can sail. So, again, these are great adventure lyrics. I can just see that musical theatre. It is the Pirates of Tweed Penzance, happening right here. The opening song, the curtain goes up, the crowd goes hush, and here we go, we're off. But some notes I've made here, like people want, people expect the pirate adventure rum lyrics, but anyone out there who doesn't know, Greg isn't actually a real life pirate. Sorry if I let that secret out of the cage there, Greg. So it can't actually be a lyrical, a literal lyric. So there has to be a bit more to it. So is there some double meanings? What are between the lines? So one thing I picked up on here, there's a line, I could be totally wrong too, so please correct me if I am, but this is me reading into that line. Take this drink right from my hand. I'll steer us back to the land. Before we go, the darkest side of this black hole, this abyss, I feel us sinking down, but with my crew, I know that we can sail. So if I was forced to look for a double meaning of that, take this drink right from my hand, is there something about maybe getting, you've probably got a little bit too hard on the booze before and, maybe had a few problems with that and you're just like, take this drink from my hand before I go down this black hole, before I go down this abyss. But with my crew, like with my mates, my good mates who can trust and come and talk to me and, are they there to sort of like maybe get me back on track? Again, I could be totally wrong, but if I had to look for a double meaning, that's the double meaning I see. So how'd I go on that one, Greg? I feel a bit bad because straight off the bat, I'm sort of accusing you of having an alcohol problem, but it's just sort of how I read it. Yeah, so maybe a bit of feedback on those opening.
You are a classic psychologist, Zane. No, but not initially, but maybe my subconscious was pointing something out to me. But I think that it comes from a point of being the captain, having that drink and saying, probably I've had enough. Let's pick this shit up and get ourselves out of this mess, basically. And yeah, definitely with my closest mates or brothers beside me, so people that I can trust. So you pretty much nailed it. And yeah, it really comes from that point of, sometimes when life gets a bit serious and you need to kind of just sit back and refocus and reevaluate where you're going. So
so like I mean,
don't have a drinking problem.
No, yeah, because I'd actually feel very guilty if, like, after this you sobered up completely and then you just became like a Christian band or something and did a full 180 full straight. That would be terrible. I'd feel very guilty if that happened. So yeah, by all means, keep knocking back the rums. And look, I hung my hat on that one line. Take this drink right from my hand, but so that's probably why I jumped to that. So again, just to sort of expand on that though, is it not just so much about, so take that line out and my interpretation, take this drink right from my hand. Is it more just about just when the going gets rough, we just all have challenges in life, and not just about the booze, but just needing to you being a captain and a mate to your friends and sort of helping people through their rough times, or was there a rough time that one of your mates or you were going through where you pulled on each other and sort of it came from that?
There's been countless times with the band specifically that we've had each other just, have to pull together in really bad times. We've had some horrific shit happen to us over the past few years. Not horrific, but, pretty devastating to your mental frame that could just make you quit. Just give up the band altogether. Like, there's been so many instances throughout the 10 years that we really had those scares where he was like, want to say fuck it all, and just leave and give up, and there's so many bad thoughts that come into your brain with the music industry, of not making much money, people not coming to shows, promoters being shit. Like, the list just goes on. As a musician, as you would know, so that drive is something that you really need to have a really close knit group to pull you together. And I think that Lagerstein, as a core, are really good for being there for each other and having each other's backs, and always supporting each other. And I couldn't think of it more, like, and I met so many bands over the years, and they're all like, you meet some amazing bonds, and you just know that they're in a band, and that's exactly how you feel, like, that you have that where you just do anything for them. Especially it's been over 10 years for me that I've been in the band. I joined in 2014, early, and it's been a wild ride, and I think that's where that comes from. Is no matter what dark place we go to, it's more of looking at that line as us, not necessarily from me, and saying, whatever happens, it's all sweet because we have each other, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day, and we'll get through this. It's a good mental mental health game to play.
Yeah. So it's funny, because even though the song's about a bunch of real pirates going, tackling this big dark storm and all the turbulence, but don't worry, we'll pull together. It is actually about, as if you just change the word pirate to bandmates, it's kind of exactly the same thing, isn't it? Yeah. So okay, cool. So, and that also, then that's the case. That's sure. It's a good way. We'll lead into the chorus, and now if we read the chorus lyrics with that in mind, it's really good in context. We can sail to the edge of the sea to see what may be, a wreckage so vast where men draw their last breath. We're off the map. There's no turning back. Brace up the sails and ride with me. So, just, any band stuck in a van together or something, could say that to each other, and it would mean the same thing to them. And, a wreckage so vast, it's that in context, some situations, bands, especially touring bands, find themselves, it does look like a wreck sometimes, doesn't it? Like, oh, what is, this is like, a wreckage is a boat that's falling apart, but like a tour that's falling apart is also a wreckage, isn't it? Could I ask you, maybe if it's maybe a bit too much or not a bit too much for you, but is there could you give us maybe a tour story where just things were just down and out and bad, or it was just, sorry to swear, but it was fucked, and you guys pulled together and got through? Could I get one out of you, a story like that out of you? Maybe before you write the lyrics to this?
Mate, I got thousands. I have to pull out my notebook. There are so many times, like our trailer exploding on the highway, or losing all our gear at an airport, or one of the boys losing his passport. Like, the list goes on, but the best one that I can think of is my first trip to Europe and the UK, and it was in, I want to say, 2016, but don't quote me on that. And we were heading over to tour with Ailstorm, a pirate metal band from the UK, which is very popular, probably the biggest pirate metal band in the world. We toured with them a couple of times and played some shows up on with their agents and stuff, and we went over We didn't get a visa sorted, and we were just kind of going off the back of we're only there for not too long. We probably don't need them. So we flew from Brisbane to Dubai to into London. We had all our gear there. We got off and we got into the customs line, and we were separated in customs line. It should have stayed that way, but the guy at the front who is leading the line was saying, "Oh, are there any groups? Are there any groups?" And the two boys at the front said, "Yeah, we're all a group," and they pulled us all together basically. And we went over and checked in. Went through the customs as a band basically. Didn't have any of our stuff, and we were just said, "Oh, we're just there to play some shows." So straight up, we just lied to customs enforcement agent for one of the biggest airports in the world. So they were just like, "Oh, okay, what's the name of your band?" And we said Lagerstein. They looked us up. Must have just looked us up straight on Facebook, and there it is, big Facebook banner saying Europe and UK tour now. So we didn't really have a leg to stand on at that point. And they said, "Well, you don't have any of your certification." And it was real quick. We were there, and they said, "Oh, we have to send you back home tomorrow." We were like, "Fuck!" And then they locked us up into the Heathrow jail, I guess you'd say, and there was one other
the gallows
chick there who was done for something, and it was just this small room. And into the gallows, it was exactly the gallows. It was a tiny little room, and we all sat in there, and we were just what do we do? Like, this is so bad. The boys were just constantly on the phone to the agents, but it was like by that stage it was like 12:30 at night. By the time we got through the airport, got through the customs, and they locked us up, we were just trying to get onto the agents, but it was midnight. People were asleep, and we were on the next plane to go back home, and that was at like 8 a.m. So that gave people 8 hours to wake up and to sort the situation for us. Otherwise, we were fucked basically. So we sat there in the little holding cell, and the boys just started singing Beatles. And this is one of those times where I just had the epiphany of, like, I know these guys are good guys, but this is just fucking ridiculous. They're sitting there locked up. We just got banned from coming into a country to play, however many shows, 20 shows around Europe and UK. I was just like, my first Europe trip ever. I was so excited. I was absolutely devastated. And these boys are sitting there singing fucking Beatles songs. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Anyway, we got through the night. We didn't get onto anyone, and they said, fuck it, and they sent us home. Like, they all had individual interviews with us. They dragged us all into a room individually. It was bad. I broke down. Not gonna lie, I had a good cry in the cell, and I was just not in a good headspace. But having the boys there, they were just so supportive and so like, nah, fuck, we'll make it through. We'll get there. Like, I'm going home. We're going home. There's no way we could make any of this work. And they said, "No, we're going. We're doing it. We're getting there." So anyway, they put us on the next flight back to Dubai. We went over to Dubai. It was just tears non-stop pretty much. And then got to Dubai. When we got to Dubai, and we could pretty much do whatever we wanted in Dubai. They didn't really care. They took us off the plane and gave us an escort to baggage, and that was it basically. And they said, "You can do whatever you want now." We didn't have any ties with Heathrow, so we got our visas on the way basically. And then before we confirmed that it was all good, we were like, "Fuck it, let's get on to the next plane." So we went we bought a plane, the next plane to France from Dubai. It was that day. but we hadn't even confirmed everything yet, so it was just like luck, basically. Whatever happens now is fucked, you know. So we took that flight over to France. In France, we caught the train underground into England, and by that stage, while we were on the train, our visas came through and they got sorted. We got into England, and we had fresh air for the first time in, I think it was like 72 hours we spent from going from airport to airport to airport to airport to train. First breath of fresh air put out. Got straight onto another train, and it took us to the gig, and we missed the first gig by half an hour. It was the first fucking ridiculous thing. And we ran on stage with Hailstorm. The Hailstorm had just gone on. We ran on stage, and they didn't know whether we were coming or not either, so they went on stage not knowing whether we were going to make the tour. They ran on stage and got up with them, and they were just going nuts, and it was a great experience. So we missed one show, and that was it, and that was
well,
one of the greatest stories, I reckon.
Yeah, no, now that is a very, very good story, and in the context of the lyrics of why we're here, I can tell you what, if you needed to be a band of brothers that are going to go into the eye of the storm together and survive it and come out on the other end, that's and that's just one story. But yeah, no, that's a great story. I tell you what, yeah, it's it's the 21st century. Men can have a cry, and I tell you what, I would have cried. I probably would have been a I can't even. It's something you couldn't imagine unless you go through with it, right? But it shows that you pulled together. Yeah, good story, Greg. I liked it. Last bit of the last line of this song, Off the Map. I'd like to read it out. You've covered the song quite well, but it's just got some nice lines, and I'd just like to read it anyway. Talking about songs. Holding strong, our determination growing. To make the day extra long, we strive to charge ahead. Our days of partying and piracy aren't dead. So I do know this is like 25/7, the concept album, about trying to get another hour out of the day. I haven't heard that from you. I've heard it. I read it in a review, but I'm pretty certain the guy reviewing it knew what he was talking about. But so that line, to make the day extra long, is from the concept album. But the lie, the whole, it would have been good if the day wasn't extra long going to the gig, or the very first gig, but unfortunately it wasn't. But just look at those lines. Holding strong, our determination growing, to make the day extra long. We strive to charge ahead. Our days of partying and piracy ain't dead. So yeah, like you were like, this is your first tour, and I don't know if the boys, how much touring the other boys had done and stuff, but they were just like, nah, we're doing this, we're striving, we're charging ahead, we're striving forward, we ain't dead, we're pirates, we're not going to die. So that last stanza really goes well with that story you just told as well. So I don't know, that's sort of where I want to wrap that song up. But if you got anything else you'd like to add, or anything you think that I missed, by all means sort of let me know now, or we can move on to the next one. But yeah, anything else you want to add to Off the Map?
No, that's pretty much it. You nailed it pretty hard. Like I said, it's just about going through a tough time, and knowing that if you surround yourself with good people, then good things will come, basically, and to not give up, and no matter how hard the day is or how big the waves are, just keep striving on forward. I think that's a pretty big message that Lagerstein puts out, is that good times all the time, basically, which is, it's a hard concept to grasp, especially with someone that's gone through such a mental health history like myself. I always struggled to grasp that concept, and how positive they always are, and how they could always be so positive. But I mean, it's just grown on me now. I think that it's just such a good headspace to to be in, and I think that's where it really stems from, is that always have each other's backs, and always be supporting people and not trying to bring them down, because everyone has their own struggles. You don't know what everyone's gone through. Every person is different and an individual in their struggles. So just, really push forward and just be yourself and strive to be the best.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said. Again, I try and incorporate a little bit of psychology into this podcast, but I mean, you don't need to be a psychologist to know. Surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with the people, who brings the best out of you, and you're definitely on a good wicket. So there's nothing really overly psychological that needs to be added to that. It's just anyone will tell you that, and everyone knows it. But then again, I suppose the only thing is sometimes you do find yourself in situations where you're not with the most positive people. Especially when things like work, if you find yourself in a job you don't like. But yeah, the message is there, and a good one to probably end that song on. Alrighty, cool. Well, look, I want to move on to the next. I'll keep the ball rolling a little bit. This one here I really like this, and I just the song itself. I love this song, and I sort of get the impression. I probably can ask you, that people were a bit surprised by this song, but also really love it. Pina Colada Paradise. It is a bit of a it's got a different sound. It's got that more reggae sort of groove to it, but it actually in the context of the album and stuff, it actually really, really works. The song itself works really well. Gives a little bit of break from that, the intense, heavier sort of stuff. And the lyrics probably match that too. I don't want to talk so much about the song, the music and stuff, because it's about lyrics. So I'll get into that. But it's for anyone out there who hasn't heard this song, you got to listen to don't listen to this one first. Listen to the other more traditional Lagerstein songs first, and listen to this one. But at some point, definitely listen to this one, because it is a kick-ass song. So Pina Colada Paradise. Here we go. Here are the lyrics. A crystal clear blue ocean pulled us down from the sky. And just what we saw next, we couldn't believe our eyes. It was such a beautiful sight. An island that looks so nice. Everything is just right. Pina Colada Paradise. So again, it's an excellent pirate song, because, you got that Oasis, and of course, when you're thinking pirates in the Caribbean and everything, of course, you're thinking about beautiful tropical islands and everything. So it's a very fitting song for Lagerstein. But again, if I had to sort of read between the lines a little bit, and I was thinking, is this like, did you and your missus go on a really romantic trip to Bali or something, and you're just sitting there by the pool at Bali and just like, oh, yeah, I'm writing about this? Is that where this song came from? Or maybe after, I don't know, what else? That's what it sounds like to me. Maybe I'll throw it over to you about where this lyric came from and stuff.
No, I think we were just in like freezing cold Sweden probably at the time, and it was like, oh man, miserable outside, and we were just like dreaming of island adventures. I don't know, we're all very beachy people, so we all just love a good pina colada. We love cocktails. Any chance we can get, we go get cold cocktails. There's this awesome cocktail place. Off track, but there's an awesome cocktail place in Scotland called Turtle Bay, and they do 2-for-1 cocktails. And shout out to Turtle Bay in Scotland. I think it's just the lyrics. The lyrics are just what they are. It's just we all grew up in paradise basically. So any chance we can get, we'll drink a cocktail by the beach. So.
Yeah, okay, and like I suppose that again, in the what you just sort of said there, it's not. I sort of read it. You might have written it when you were in Bali, but I probably should have said this too before I threw it over to you, because your parents are from Sri Lanka, aren't they? Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Or your old man is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also thought maybe it might have been maybe a trip back to the motherland or something like that as well. So but not so much. So it's more about a yurt. Like, so when you're in Scotland, but like no one's ever associating Scotland with palm trees and beaches, are they? So it's more about just sort of a bit of a yearning for somewhere a little bit more warmer and beautiful and sunny and tropical.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, in saying that, I probably did do a bit of these lyrics. Kind of probably came to mind when I was in Sri Lanka last, I reckon, because the timing was probably right, and it's just such a beautiful tropical island over there. So I always keep the motherland close to my heart. But yeah, also just a yearning for that's where I want to be all the time.
Yeah, well, it's true. We are we're on the Goulburn Tweed, but I will say, like, if people are listening, I'm going to try and do a bit of sound editing on this, but if that hissing in the background, it's actually pouring with rain here at the moment. So even in paradise, it's not always beautiful and sunny. We do get a little bit of rain around here.
I'll just shut this door.
But all right, so here we go. This is, yeah. Oh, you got the door open, have you? Oh, yeah, definitely shut the door if you got the door open.
I couldn't even hear it, sorry.
Here we go, a little interlude while we do. Sometimes the sound tech isn't all about using plugins and gates and audio compressors and everything. Sometimes it's just about shutting a door so that we don't get the outside noise. So here we go. There's a little couple of little notes here I made about the lines coming up, but I'll read out the chorus now. It's really nice, the chorus, actually. When I listen to the song, it's good lyrical imagery. I've spoken to some other people about lyrical imagery, to be able to sing and for people to be able to see it in their head. It is a good skill of a songwriter, and I've definitely got some really good images in my head when I read this. Here we go, the chorus. The sun comes and goes as it pleases. Coconut fall from the trees as we chop the pineapples into pieces. Coco Loco drinks on the beaches. We're drinking our pina coladas on a hidden island in the Bahamas. This could be our nirvana. Pina colada paradise. So yes, I feel like I can feel the sun on the back of my neck as I sing it. One note I did have here, just maybe about you as a songwriter. I really liked how you said the sun comes and goes as it pleases. Coconuts fall from the trees as. So, Eminem, who was like, who's an incredibly brilliant lyricist and stuff, he was like the master of, rhyming things that didn't rhyme. Like, so, he has that line, like, he did this interview about it. It was like, I put my orange 4-inch door hinge in storage and ate porridge with George. So, I don't know if you're much of an Eminem fan, but I definitely went, yeah, that's a total Eminem trick there. Rhyming pleases with trees as we chop the.
Yeah, I was stuck on this line for so long to make it flow nicely. I just couldn't grasp it. I'm like, what the fuck do I do here? To the point of now, all our fans will just sing treeses, and they have a big debate on the Facebook. There's a Facebook group. The Lagerstein drinking crew on Facebook, and they all have a little debate saying, is it treeses or treesas? And everyone just sings treeses now, so it's treeses.
Yeah, well, that's actually, it is. We can confirm at the Lyrical Scoop. You got a scoop on the Lyrical Wax podcast that it is trees as. So if you didn't read it as a lyric, if you just read it as a sentence. Coconuts fall from the trees as we chop the pineapples into pieces. That's how it reads as a sentence, but as a lyrical stanza. But I mean, you could have tried to squeeze Jesus into there somewhere. So I don't know if that would have been any better for you. The sun comes and goes as it pleases. We have a pina colada which, yeah. The sun comes and goes as it pleases. We have a pina colada with Jesus. Yeah, no, that doesn't work as well, does it?
I mean, I love it.
And
I just
again,
don't think that
just
everyone...
another little note here. Yeah, no. there's just another little line here that I thought was funny, and I don't know if you did or not, but I'm going to read it anyway and ask you because it's kind of a little bit of a making me laugh thinking about it. When you say, "Come and feel the serenity, it's our secret remedy, and your worries are no more." So, come and feel the serenity. Is that just from the castle? You know, whenever I hear the serenity, did you sort of have a little giggle to yourself and how's the serenity when you wrote that?
Of course, you've got to always quote the castle as much as you can. I think that's my motto in life.
Yeah,
definitely as a serenity.
Yeah, so all the international the non-Australians listening to this. There's a very famous Australian movie called the Castle, and there's a very famous line in it where they're out on holidays in this little on a lake at Bonnie Doon or wherever it is, and you know, yeah, that's the serenity. So I don't even know if I quoted that right, to be honest. I haven't seen it in a while, but the word serenity
how's
always forever.
That,
thank you. Yes, I probably should have actually did the exact research before I went into that because I didn't quite get it right. But yeah, how's the serenity? Yeah, so there you go. International Lagerstein fans, find the castle and watch it. It's one of our greatest exports as far as movies go. Yeah. Well, look, let's just say, you know, maybe nothing too deep and meaningful probably to come from this one, but it's just really well written. It's got some wonderful lyrical imagery, and I do feel like if I was in Scotland freezing my ass off, I would also be thinking of this stuff. I'm thinking about tropical islands and pina coladas as well. And to be quite honest, it is up there with my favorite cocktail. I do love that white rum and the creamy coconut, bit of pineapple. It's absolutely delicious. Okay, well maybe we'll move on then to the next one because this is also pretty good. And the song we're going to do is "Fountain of Rum," and this is a bit of an epic. I'll open it with. Are you a Blind Guardian fan? I get mega Blind Guardian vibes from this song. Has anyone else ever said that to you?
No one said that to me, but definitely a big Blind Guardian fan. Yeah, folk metal all the way.
Yeah. There's definite. So, Fountain of Rum. Here we go. I'll give it a read, and then we'll sort of get back into that. So here we go. Crew, hoist your hooks, for today we conquer the fountain. Ye pirates be warned, many have died on the way. Legends are told of a tap keg to a mountain. All who survive, rum will be our pay. Anchor the ship, run to the beach. We've followed this map, our rum is in reach. This island so scarce, no footprints have ever been here. A body of water is in full view, yet the colour of this lake is not black or blue. Let's taste it. Fuck yeah, it's the Fountain of Rum. So, what an epic adventure you are framing us on the way to go. It's just that lyrical image, and it's just that you know, it's that musical theatre background you have. It's just you're totally framing it. So there's again, you know, like you know, I'd be quite amazed if you said this had some deeper metaphor to it. But what I sort of wanted to talk to you about, you know, it's been the lyrical podcast. You know, it's such a big story. It's epics to start, but again, you're not writing a 3-hour musical. You're right. You know, you're cramming it into just a few stanzas. I just want to sort of ask you about, you know, writing this and writing lyrics of, you know, where you're setting up an epic story and stuff. And I sort of touched on it at the beginning about other members of the band sharing the songwriting with you. But maybe just give us a little bit of insight into how you go about writing these, you know, sort of epic tales. You said before with the Pina Colada song, you stressed about that lyric a bit, but like that was just about having beers, having a drink on the beach. This is, you know, quite epic and stuff. Yeah, just tell us a little bit about how you go about writing such epic stuff and the story. Like, do you write the story first, then you write the lyrics, or you get ideas? You know, I'll leave it open to you how you want to answer this question, but give us a bit of insight on what it's like writing these sort of epic adventure songs.
Oh yeah, this is the last song of our second album, and it just wraps up the whole album. Basically, the album is somewhat of a concept album of just finding this fountain of rum. Basically, it's the journey. The whole album is this journey towards this fountain of rum. So not every song is completely mapped out that way. But that's how we like to do it. We chuck it in, and then a few songs will get back to the core story, and then we'll do a few silly ones and whatever else. But so this one kind of came. I reckon this one would have come well before a lot of the others. I don't want to say all of them, but definitely a lot of them. And that really helped shape the rest of the album and how the album progressed and what we knew that we were aiming for lyrically. So I think that it just came out from imagining this ridiculous scenario where you have been searching for this mythical fountain of rum where it's just it pours out endless rum and it's just the best rum in the entire world. I don't know, it might even make you invincible, I can't remember. But it's just such a ridiculous fucking scenario, but it's good to be able to get your fictional writing skills out and just write a tale instead of writing something that you're trying to portray underlying meanings and everything like that. It's sometimes better to just write a fucking narrative of a pirate adventure. And this one is it's a hell of a good pirate adventure. I tell you what, if you found a fountain of fucking rum and it was endless, you'd be named King Pirate forever, I reckon. So I think that's the way
I'd be dead in 5 years if that happened.
I think we all would. I wouldn't give myself 5 years, to be honest. But I think it's good.
Or in rehab, one or the other.
Surely they'll have everyone in rehab on that island. Was rehab just set up?
Yeah, that's the island next door, Rehab Island. So you can just sort of go back and forth, get the ferry across from one to the other. And maybe that's actually be the follow-up album where like your pirate mates break you out of, you're in the gallows are a rehab or a metaphor for a rehab and your pirate mates come and break you out and the epic escape story. What about though, so the concept is one thing, who came up with that, but the actual specific words themselves, are you? Oh, sorry, I don't know if the concept was everyone. I know you sort of talked about everyone gets together to sort of work it out, but the actual specific words themselves of this song. So you've got a bit of a concept, you have to write about, but then just the writing of it. How do you get sort of that from your head onto paper, if you sort of know what I'm saying, the specifics of, because it's the challenge, you enjoy the challenge of it. Does it take days and there's just days of frustration because you can't get it to work, or just once you get going it just rolls off the tongue for you, or are the other boys sort of helping? Give us a little bit about the specifics of writing the actual words themselves.
For this one specifically, it would have been with the help from everyone, as it was the finishing song. Everyone wanted their kind of part in it, basically. But I guess the majority I will just go through and tighten up everything and make everything feel comfortable for me singing in the end, basically. But lyrics-wise, this one came out in chunks, basically. So we'd write a chorus here, a verse there, and come back to it in a couple of weeks or a day or so, sleep on it and come up with some new lyrics while you're sleeping. It's a big one, and then you kind of fuck to write them down and you forget them the next day. It's a classic trick, but no, this one came out in chunks. I think every song's different in that sense, where they'll come out either in one sitting. You have just the idea for a song, and then you go down and sit down and write it out, and the majority of it comes out. But in a lot of not a lot of our cases, but in some of our cases, definitely we just write a verse here and a chorus there and come back to it, and someone brings something else to the table, and then you take bits and pieces from that and just carve it out. that way.
Yeah.
And for most of them, the music will be written first, unless there's a cool concept that will bring and that I want to bring out or whatever, and I'll just track out some lyrics. But majority music comes first, and then that way it's easier for me to be able to phrase my words for starters, and put emphasis on some cadence and whatever else I can do to make it, to make the vocals pop and not just follow the melody or whatever else. So it's good to be able to have that in front of me first and run with this, and then I go, oh yeah, this could be cool here.
Yeah, and I can imagine just all those years being younger, and even though you're learning to perform these musical songs, it's actually like drilling into you sort of how storytelling works, and something I haven't really spoke to about a lot of the lyricists I've had on this, but how the phrasing works. Everyone's got their way of singing, so you might be given lyrics by someone else, but if the phrasing doesn't work for you, you might have to cut out, change it and make it work for yourself too. So that does have an influence of how you put songs together, doesn't it?
Yeah, so when I'm writing these lyrics, I'm into, or like, if I'm trying to add something to some music, I really need to have in mind the character that I portray, and how I'm going to express that line or those words. I really need to take into consideration how it's going to work live. If I'm really active, and is that going to be sustainable for me to sing on stage, or is it just a silly note that I shouldn't even be trying to hit at that time, or whether there's a high note, or whether it's trying to fit too many words into a sentence or whatever. I think that I just need to always take that into consideration, being very active on stage and theatrical. Just the way I'm going to express that line, I always need to have it pre-done. If it's not sitting right when I'm just singing there, then I probably won't waste time on it, and I'll just change it and try and sing something else. It all needs to flow in the end on stage. If that's a stage show is probably strongest part, one of the strongest parts to us as a group. So I think that if we can perfect that stage show and how the lyrics are coming across, and how people can understand what I'm singing in the crowd and whatever else, it all comes into concept. Some people just sing for try and do whatever, and it's just comes back to bite them sometimes on stage.
Okay. All right, cool. Look, there's a couple of I want to go to the next stanza that I sort of highlighted. I just really, before I say the line, I have a comment that I've a note to myself. Nice line, lol. So the line is, this elixir needs elixir. This elixir needs no mixer. But like then I had like, nice line, lol. Did you consider writing instead, fruity elixir makes you sexier? So maybe you didn't, but it just made me laugh. So I had to read that.
We have a good friend in a Melbourne band called Kegan. They just sing about Smash and Goon and BBs, and they like just a drinking band in Melbourne, 3-piece little punk band. They're awesome, but they just sing about. They had a song called "Fruity Elixir Makes You Sexier," so we probably would have got in trouble for that one, maybe, or maybe they would have loved it. Who knows?
Yeah, that's right. Copyright infringement. Yeah. So I'm going to. I'll read this one out because I'll read out the whole stanza. This elixir needs no mixer. No top shelf can handle this rum's pure might. We thought this fountain would look less like a lake. The taste of this rum's so good we've made no mistake. Sinking the liquor, quicker and quicker. Do not hold back. There's no need to bicker. My note there is, do you just spend heaps of time on Rhyme Dictionary? Sinking this liquor quicker and quicker. Do not hold back. There's no need to bicker. I whenever I'm in lyric writing mode, I have Rhyme Dictionary open the whole time, and it's like, oh, that works. Oh, maybe I'll put them all in. Then, because we've been assured this rum will ever last. This is our time. No more last drinks. Forever we fight, together we drink. Pirates we stand, united by rum. Yeah. So, yeah, like a little bit of rhyme dictionary is your friend. Or rhymedictionary.com, I should say, is your friend.
Yeah, if I'm stuck, I'll definitely get the dictionary out and get some motivation from that. I think the biggest thing you need to know about Lagerstein is that we're just fucking ridiculous, and just to not even, whatever you see on is sometimes it's just what it is. You know, there's no deepness to it. It's just dumb lyrics with where
No.
we've kind of always portrayed that. It's like, we're just here for fun. We don't take life all things too seriously. It's like this is what it is. But yeah, sometimes it just flows, and sometimes you just need to make up ridiculous rhymes.
Yeah, and then that's part of the fun too, because again, the thing I get from all of this, it just comes across as so much fun. Like, it's fun to watch and listen to, but it'd be fun to create as well. I think that's what comes of it. Yeah. So I'll read because this is a story too. So I'll read this last stanza too, because it's just good lyrics. I just like to read it and have. I mean, obviously, if the audience wants to hear the lyrics, they're better off listening to you sing it than me just talking in my drooly sort of voice. But I'll read it out anyway. Crew, what have we done? The lake has dispersed. We've travelled so far. We hope we're not cursed. But wait, what is this? Is that a trapdoor? Where does it lead? What is in store? Follow me down, crew, if you dare. The smell of molasses thickening the air. Out of the darkness, a gold light shines through. This must be it. We're at the fountain of rum. Yo ho ho, we're drinking today. We've conquered the fountain of rum. Yeah, no, it does. It definitely makes sense. Get the pirate way. Yo ho, let's make the call, cause it's all for rum and rum for all. So yeah, look, again, not everything has to have deep, but it's just like once you finish, we don't write with it. You're not writing pirate lyrics with a quill, I'd imagine. You're typing it on a MacBook. But when you sort of hit that final sort of enter full stop space bar and you look back at it, you just sort of go, yeah, sick, that's it, that's cool. Do you get that sort of, do you get that feeling at the end of it, or is it always that sort of level of oh, is this done? Oh, we've got to record it. It's come to the end. I'm submitting it. Or do you sort of feel that the story is done?
Oh, look, Zane, we're not the most organised pirates. I'll tell you that much. The amount of times we've gone up to the studio with lyrics not finished, or past the songs not finished. I mean, even looking at these lyrics now, I'm like, what? If you had a bit more time, you could just craft it so much better. But I don't know. We're usually happy with our finished product, but sometimes I'm just left sitting going, what was I thinking there? I don't know. Was I high? I don't know. You're just like, sometimes they're so dumb, but at the same time, that's just the joy of Lagerstein. I think you can just have a laugh and
Yeah, and look,
it's good.
I'm not doing them much justice, I suppose, the way I'm sort of reading them. It's just, as I said from the start, I don't have a very good pirate voice, so I can't do it. So yeah, I do apologise for taking a little bit of the excitement out of it. And again, maybe there's some people listening to this that aren't familiar with your stuff. So yeah, please, people, listeners, please. There's obviously going to be links to the songs and stuff. So please listen to them with the music. It's just so much more adventurous and so much more better. So. than my interpretation of it. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't have made it very far through the audition process all those 10 years ago if I had shown up. Yeah, cool. All right, look, I don't know. Is there anything? I got nothing really more to add to that. I just wanted to talk more about the process of sort of epic songwriting, what that is. If you've got something you want to throw in there before we move on to the next one, or. Up to you. If you've got something you want to say, by all means.
No, it's just, I think, pirates have that very mythical feel about them, even though pirates are real, 100%. They just have that very mythical feeling about them where you could, class them with fairies and unicorns or some bullshit. So I think that whenever you're writing a story, it's like, yeah, this could happen. Like, this is believable because it's all make believe, and pirates are just not real. Where in fact they were very deadly, and they, it's I think it's just being that theatrical.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's probably a point we could spend a lot of time on, that blend. Even though pirates are real, that they live in fantasy, don't they? Like look at the Pirate of the Caribbean, all the fantastical stuff that happens, and it just comes with the myth of it all, isn't it? I suppose why ask an anthropologist, not so much a psychologist, but a lot of people who heard about pirates never ever saw them. So going back those few hundred years ago when they were when they were real and being the pirates we see as far as the the eye patches and the peg legs and stuff. People back in London and back in Europe never actually saw any of them. They just heard it through secondhand story. And there's probably a lot of people back then believing the world was flat and all that sort of business too. So people were a lot more open to just fantastical stories of pirates, and it's sort of lived in our culture, hasn't it, through to this day. Okay.
Yeah.
The last song I want to do, well, we want to do, you sent through to me. This, I'm glad you sent this through to me, because this has got some, again, not so much about the deeper metaphor of the lyrics, but just the entire concept in itself. You've probably been interviewed and asked about this before, but I don't care. I'm going to ask you all this stuff anyway, too, because it's a real modern day phenomena that we need to get to the bottom of. The song is called Shoey Song. So anyone who knows anything about Lagerstein, shoeys, taking your shoe off, pouring alcohol in it and necking it back is actually very synonymous with your band. And even like anyone listening to this, I think everyone know what a shoey is. I'm going to read some of the lyrics because it's do, but then I want to sort of ask you a little bit about this, phenomena of the shoey. So this is a good story too, but yeah, maybe not as mythical and magical, but still a good story song. I woke up with a smile on my face, grabbed my hat and coat, and rushed out of the place. Skipped to the bus. The driver knew. He said, "Son, today you must be buying a new shoe." Up to the store and straight to the counter. She asked me my size and width. I said it doesn't matter. For this new shoe will hold rums to consume. She said, "Okay, I'll arrange them by the volume." So again, just a song that must have been just like super fun to write. I suppose I do have a duty to ask, did you actually wake up one day and rush and jump on a bus to buy a shoe, and you've just bought shoes? Because I love shoes. Anyone who knows me knows I love shoes, and like I don't want to be pouring booze into my fresh new Nike Airs, that I just bought. So do you sometimes buy shoes that are just like big in volume and stuff just to use on stage as a prop? That's that's a question. But before you can answer that a little bit later maybe. Well, actually, no, I'll let you answer that first. Like, have you ever just bought shoes as props, or just because so it's nice and fresh and new and cheap, so you don't have to deal with all the sweat and everything? Little inside secret of the band.
I'm gonna level with you, Zane. I don't drink out of my shoe either. I've done it plenty of times, but I'm the captain, and I am better than that, basically. No, it's Neil, our guitarist, and his brother, the Majestic Beast, the other guitarist. They both have a shoey off every single night during Slocking the Run. So we've played like 43 days in a row before, with like 2 days off in between in Europe. And every single night they drink out of the same shoe. You better believe it. We sometimes they go and buy shoes. Neil has the fortune of drinking out of a cheap Kmart shoe, and that's his stage shoes. His cheap Kmart shoe. He has he has the leader housing outfit. Looks like a German leprechaun. So he wears the cheap Kmart shoes, so he can pretty much go and swap them over whenever. But Beast has his pirate boots, his stage boots, and every night he's just out of the same boots. It's private. I can't even I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done my fair share, but like I said, I'm a captain. I'm just a bit better than that. So.
Yeah, and you sort of that means you can get away with it because all it takes is one person to do an ensuring on stage associated with the band, and then people leave the show or thinking that everyone did it and stuff. But nah, it's a little bit of an optical illusion. Only a couple of the members do it, but then you get think everyone leaves the show thinking, oh, it's doing shoeies with the whole band, but no, we cha. So yes, sorry, sorry. Now that's out of the public and stuff, but it sounds like it's true. So. So I want to actually, yeah. So what I wanted to ask, I could have looked this up on Wikipedia and stuff, but I thought, no, I'm not going to. I want to be a clean sheet. I want to know. I want to hear from you. Like, what is the relationship between Lagerstein and Shuey? Like, who was the first to do? Because they've sort of done every now. All Aussies do it. Ricardo, Formula One does it. Tai Tuivasa, UFC does it. So it is kind of associated with Australian lad culture, and obviously, and you guys, obviously. But like, who was sort of? Do you know who that? Like, did you guys invent it? That would be excellent if that's the truth. But if not, where did it come from? And how did you guys make this link with Shuey's and Lagerstein?
It was Neil, and Neil will tell you that he was the first person ever to do a shoey. And I mean, it could be, you don't know, but I mean, it was only probably 10 years ago or something, so I doubt it. But I think that from then it just formed into something beautiful. I will give Neil this: he's probably done the highest and the lowest ever recorded shoeys in the world. I reckon if you took it to Guinness, he did one in a plane heading over to Europe, maybe, I don't know how high planes go, 22,000 feet in the air or something. And then he did it in a train going from France to England, so it was underground, and he did one there as well. So he reckons that he has the highest span, or whatever you call it, the largest diameter for a shoey in the world. But we took this, and it just kind of ran with all the Europeans and all the people from the UK who've never seen it before, and they just can't believe their eyes that people are doing this. We played in this little tiny pub called the Griffin. It's an awesome pub if you ever get over to. I can't even tell you where it is right now. I'm just having a blank. In Birmingham, no, not Birmingham, somewhere in England. Sorry, I can't remember where it is. The Griffin. We made the whole crowd do shoeys all night. It was a tiny little pub, and we were just in the bar section all night with all the fans and everything. I think we did 165 shoeys or something like that. That night, everyone just passed around the same shoe, one of Neil's shoes, his stage show shoe. Passed it around the pub all night, and we were just chanting, and it just went up that far because there was probably 100 people there or so, and just everyone was just loving it. And now that shoe is hung up in the bar, and you can pay £2 and get it filled up, and you can drink from it. So it's a living legend, that shoe. $12 K much.
It is. Yeah, right. Well, there you go. I was going to say, I thought you were going to say his record is the most shoeys ever, just not height-wise, but just ever, because, Ricardo only ever did it when he won a race, and he didn't actually win that many races, did he? Tai Tuivasa only did it when he won a fight, and, in the grand scheme of things, I think you guys have played more gigs than fights that Bam Bam Tuivasa's ever won. So, maybe there is a little bit of a Guinness Book of Record opportunity there to sort of get you guys in the annals of history. Who knows? Okay, so I got to read these. There's some lines I got out of this as well that maybe might be worth sort of asking. Might have one more good story from you. Sporting my new shoes, I went out for a run, ran to the park, saw a race had just begun. The judge said to me, "Join the race, you'll have a blast. I bet with those new shoes you'll run extra fast." After my big win, it was time to celebrate. A wench caught my eye who was keen to consummate. our tongues interlocked and our souls intertwined as we cheers our shoes and scull the victory wine. So I don't know. Again, like, is there any? Well, did that actually happen? I'm not sure. If it did, that'd be pretty cool to hear, but maybe not so much. I see you shaking your head, but the question you sort of actually answered it before. The other stuff, like, is there a good maybe a pirate groupie wenches story? Or maybe if not wenches, because you said wenches, so I asked wenches, but not even just wenches, like maybe, just some pirate fanboy stories about, not at the gig so much, but, maybe just going out to bar, someone recognises you, now come the shoes, and that was a bonding moment. You spent the next, 12 hours in some back ass town out the back of Scotland or something on the shoeys. Is there a possible story that might come from that, and the bonding over a shoey?
I'm probably 100% certain there's plenty. But the amount of festivals that we go to, and Neil will just walk around in one sock and one shoe and have the other shoe in his hand the whole time, just forcing people to drink shoeys, and they would. And when you get enough peer pressure from a dude just like a leprechaun, German leprechaun, you get pressured into doing whatever he says. We definitely have made countless bartenders pour us a shoey from the taps, from the beer taps. So that's always a good story to tell. And then everyone in the pub wants to be your best mate, basically. Either that or they hate you for being such a slob. Oh,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one thing that you said there that is 100% true. Peer pressure and shoes go hand in hand. Like, I remember, as I said before, I like my shoes and I like keeping nice crisp. And if I go out to a gig, I've usually got some pair of shoes on that matches my outfit that I really like. So I have definitely done a shoey against my will, very peer pressure, at one of your gigs. I can confirm that, because I mean, what's the other option? Don't do it. You're going to get kicked out of the bar, aren't you? Not by security, but just by the crowd and the fans. So you really just don't have any option. The best thing to do is just to try and not make eye contact with anyone in the band, so that you don't find yourself in that situation where you got to do one. Yeah. Look, I don't really have any more questions. Like, I might just read the last stanza, just because it's just fun and it's good. We drink from our shoe, fill it up to the brim with the finest kind of brew. We drink from our shoe, slam it down, wear the crown, and salute the crew. So again, for people who aren't familiar with shoes, where the crown is, once you neck it back right, you put it on your head to show that you drank it all.
Correct.
So cool. Good stuff. Well, I am. You can't be Tweed heads proud and not be Australian proud as well, can you? All right, look, cool, Greg. That's reached the end. Like, we got to the end of the lyrics, but there's always, I like to sort of like do a little bit of a summary at the end as well, and also give a bit of an opportunity to chat about what sort of moving forward as well. But I got a couple of sort of questions, about the sort of the band and moving forward as well. I remember years. I don't know if you remember this or not. But at a party once, you were having a chat and stuff, and I actually did say to you, you sort of find it hard to keep writing songs about pirate themes and stuff, and you sort of gave me a bit of an answer. Oh yeah, it can get a bit hard at times. But I suppose the question is, from that, like working on some new stuff at the moment, and like lyrically, obviously going for the concept album, like these sort of adventure pirate themes, and like maybe the challenge of continuing to write in this sort of context, so, that's sort of a bit of a broad question, but the general question is, maybe also about working on new stuff for the future and incorporating the pirate themes, but also incorporating a bit of your life experience and all that sort of stuff. Maybe you'd like to expand on that and sort of answer that as you sort of feel is, where you're at with that?
Yeah, as I got older and matured more, I think that I've come a long way as a musician and as a lyricist, and also as a pirate. Like, I understand my pirate identity more than I did, back when I started, or even coming up through the years in those few albums. So I think I've just progressed myself. I do need to be more proactive with just writing things that come to my head instead of just holding them for later and trying to remember them from later. So life gets in the way all the time, and not constantly thinking in a pirate mind frame. But it's also a good place to escape to, and to immerse myself in that world, and become a pirate for the time. And it's good fun. It really brings out what I've been brought up with, of just living the best life, and that's where we try and come through with our being a pirate. Is just like not really giving a fuck whatever anyone thinks about you, and just being your true self and expressing that wherever you are, like be yourself basically. So I think that I can just take from my experiences, and now even just with my mental health journey and stuff, I've come a long way. So I think that it all progresses into being closer to what you want to achieve in yourself and what you want to see thrive from yourself, as an artist, or as a musician, or as a lyricist, or as just a human being. I think that's the best thing about life, is that it is always giving you opportunities, and it's always giving you experiences to help write the next part of your chapter, basically. And that's exactly how you do it with my music as well. So I take those learnings and teachings and try and work them into what's coming next, and just try and be a good person in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah, there's something that I'd like to get into with that, but just maybe if I could, so we do get the other part of that question answered a bit. You got some songs that are being written at the moment? Is it some new music, or at the moment you're just sort of just promoting and performing all the current songs?
At the time being, we're writing basically. I just went over to Japan at the end of last year to do some recording as well. So that was really fun to get over there and work with some really, really solid musicians in the field. And I'm pretty keen to get that song out when it's completely ready. But also we're just writing this year. We're not doing many shows, and we're also focusing on our personal lives a little bit more. It's been 12, 13 years of the band sort of thing now, and it's
yeah.
And we need to
that song in. Yeah, sorry, that song in Japan, is that that's not a Lagerstein song? That's like with some other Japanese musicians, and it's a bit of a side project thing.
No, it's a Lagerstein song, but we're recording with.
Sorry.
Well, the studio we're recording with is in the Japanese studio, and one of the guys plays in the band with some Japanese people. So it's very Japanese based, and it was awesome to have that experience over there. And a little home studio with an awesome home studio, so good experience.
Yeah. Okay. Look, the other thing too, so like to sort of rewind back, like again, I do sort of promote this as, other than the lyrics, a bit of psychology, but it's some of the stuff for this. It doesn't mean I have to force psychology into the person I'm interviewing, because it's not super relevant, so I don't want to just force it in there. But I think if there is an opportunity to sort of introduce some of those concepts, I really took on board how you said, you are a born performer. You've done it your whole life. Like when you were like 6 years old doing it, I get the impression you were doing it because you were wanting to do it, not because you've been made to do it. And you sort of talked about, having that persona and that concept and that escape to go into pirate mode. it sounds to me like, in a way, it's actually a real good form of therapy for yourself, where, life, as Greg Perez, we got to work, we got to do this, crap happens, and we have our ups and downs. But to be able to like, yep, I'm in Captain Gregor mode, I'm in, Lagerstein mode. It would just be that, it would be that way to sort of just, be free, isn't it? Because it is imaginative in a sense, but it would be a great way to be free and just, be with, you sung at the start about, the mateship of the band and being together, and together we can strive through things. So in that context, and again, because I sort of asked that part, it wasn't a deep, serious conversation, but, I was sort of asking, does it sort of get hard to keep writing pirate lyrics? But if you're doing it because you love it and it gives you that escape, and it's your passion, then it would be easy to, like, not like, you still got to strive for the best and the challenges of it, but it would be a really inviting thing to do. That just be like, I'm sort of rambling a little bit, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. The fact that it'd be really fulfilling and a great thing for you, and you even said to yourself, for your mental health and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I really get that impression from what you said before.
Yeah, so I think that it is a great escape for me, and I'm very much extroverted when I'm on stage, and I can command a huge crowd, thousands of people, to do whatever I'm doing, whether it's a movement or get them to sing back to me or whatever. And it's a crazy feeling. And then when I'm off stage, then I go back into my shell a bit. Sometimes I hide in the toilets just to, not deal with. It's weird because I'll go from like, and people will meet me off stage and they'll go, wait a minute, you're a different person to who I just saw on stage. But like, and I've always enjoyed that escapism of going into someone else when you're acting. It's not like I have any massive traumas or anything that I'm escaping, but it's like, I don't know, just sometimes it's just nice to be in a different headspace and different atmosphere in your mind. Like, I was always a pretty imaginative kid growing up, and I had all these crazy dreams and whatever. So I think that you take things as you learn as a kid from into your adulthood, and I think that being able to go into that person is a good release for me. And it's crazy how much, and it's not like I am a completely different person off stage. I still, I've found that good mix now where I'm still myself on stage, and instead of just going into a full character. And now that I've found that good sweet spot of between character and myself, and it really helps me interact with the crowd or interact with my bandmates, or just be more comfortable on stage all around, instead of trying to completely block out the audience, or as some actors would do.
Yeah. Look, I tell you what, it's definitely. I'm going to have to throw in one really, really good psychology concept here, because I that's really not because I'm forcing it in, because it actually really aligns with everything that you're telling about. So maybe I'll throw this one in just so I can get a tax deduction on with my psychology business. I'm talking a bit about psychology with when I do this.
Whatever you're going to do.
I'm about to do my first. Yeah, I'm doing my first tax return. That's going to include the Lyrical Wax podcast. I don't know what's. I got to have lots of proof that this is a real psych thing. But here we go. I'll give you something. Hopefully you'll find this interesting. Hopefully the audience will find this interesting as well. And maybe I'll get you to comment on it a little bit. So dialectic behavior therapy is about a type of therapy that teaches people about coping with stresses of the world, and like learning how to deal with things a little bit better. Especially, it's really good for people that have sort of issue. Everyone has issues, but like don't deal with their issues too well. So if they're someone why is it that someone has heavy shit happen to them, but it doesn't really affect them as much and they can bounce back and kick on, where some people do, sort of bad things like abusing drugs and alcohol or self-harm and stuff. So the point is there's a DBT principle called ABC, please. So each letter stands for something. And I think this sort of sounds a little bit like what you're doing. And you can sort of tell me if this is right or not. But each letter stands for something. So A stands for accumulate positive experiences. So it means like every day, just try and do something that's positive and fun and nice, So, whether that's a bit of songwriting or just hanging out, going to band practice, hanging out with the band, your mates, recording and all that sort of stuff. Even like working towards sort of like saving money for tours and stuff. You're working towards accumulating positive experiences. So, you're not on tour having a great time traveling the world, but when you're going to work and it's crappy and it's raining and it sucks, at least it's leading towards a positive experience into the future. Okay, so the next one that I really like, and when I talk to my clients, I hang my hat on a little bit, is B is build mastery. What means get really, really good at something that you love. And this is sort of why this pops into my head, because you said it yourself. You are becoming a master at being a pirate. You didn't say to those exact words, but you're working out your pirate identity. You're working out your stage show, and you're getting so much better at it. So you are building mastery towards becoming a pirate. So that's good to know. You probably you probably never saw that coming in your future when you were a 10-year-old little tacker and stuff, but you definitely are. The third one is so ABC, please. C is cope ahead. So that just means when there are challenges, you're sort of prepared, and you're in a situation where you know that if challenges come, that you will be able to deal with them. So, and that relates to you talk about having that band around you, the band of brothers around you, what you were saying on that first song, even though there's going to be challenges and shitty things happen, I know if I've got these boys around me, and as a team and as a band of brothers, we'll be able to work it out and, face this challenge head on and survive it. The last one is please. So please each stands for a thing as well. Like P is physical illness, E is eating, A is avoiding mood-altering drugs. So Lagerstein and Lyrical, but maybe imagine I didn't say that one. S is sleep, E is exercise. So pretty much what please means, it's just all that good, faithful stuff around, just looking after your physical health and your mental health. I don't know, so maybe that one there is a little bit of a stretch. You do guys like to drink a lot, but that sort of comes with it. But you said it yourself, you're not there necking back the shoeies with the rest of them. So, maybe if I can pull the illusion away from the band a little bit, you're probably not totally off your face drinking rum every single second of the day like a real bunch of pirates. Behind the scenes, there's probably a little bit more self-care going on, hey, than what the image you portray, if I can get a little bit of a scoop for this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm actually sober at the moment. I've been sober for a bit over a month now. It's just giving myself a break. It's not like I had a problem or anything. That's just like, especially if I'm on tour and stuff, and it is a lot of drinking. Like even on those nights where you just don't feel like it, you kind of got to back it up. I mean, people always say, "Oh, you fake it" or whatever. And I just don't feel like. Yeah, I just can't. This doesn't come across the same way portrayed. Like I never wasted when I go on stage. Don't get me wrong. I've had my times where I've been too far gone to be on a stage, but I managed, and would never miss a show. I've never missed a show. Be it messy or not, but it does get heavy sometimes drinking that much, and obviously drinking alcohol is a antidepressant. So if you're too much of a good thing, whatever else. So sometimes you've got to step back and take a break, and what I'm doing now. But it's funny you bring up the DBT. I actually did DBT for 6 months.
Oh, okay.
I have BPD myself, borderline personality.
Oh, okay.
So I've delved into the world of BPD, and it was very eye-opening. It was such a good experience to have that diagnosis and be able to learn about myself and my the way I feel and my reactions to things and whatever else. So DBT was really a great stepping stone for me to be able to understand myself better. And I learned so many. I did learn that ABC Please, and as well as so many other great lessons in life to go ahead with. So I've come a long way since then, and it's been really, it's been a great eye-opening experience for me, that one. So you can definitely say that you're on the mark with that one with the ABC Please. So.
Okay, look, I tell you what, Greg, it's this obviously, when people listening out there, I send out an email saying, please talk about what you're comfortable talking about before, I send it out to the guest and that sort of stuff. But yeah, look, I tell you what, this we're reaching the end of this podcast, but it's I appreciate you sort of just throwing that out there at the end. It's not something you have to do. Talking about some actual personal mental health diagnostic stuff. We all have our ups and downs, and people talk about things. But yeah, borderline personality disorder it's a real thing, and lots of people actually have it. We're not talking like 1 in 5, but it's out there. A lot of people, growing up, everyone would have had a mate in school, one of their mates from school that probably had it, but obviously you just don't sort of know about it. Technically, you don't really get diagnosed until you're after 18, so maybe not when you're a mate at school in 14, 15. But people do display sort of behaviours and emotional dysregulation issues. I don't know. It's probably, again, I appreciate you bringing it up and open with it. And it's definitely something that needs to be destigmatized. I think people are getting a lot better at destigmatizing mental illness such as anxiety and depression and so on. But yeah, the personality disorder class of diagnosis probably needs a little bit more work to be destigmatized. So yeah, the fact that you're sort of comfortable talking about it, and and I've known you for a long time, and I think you're a top bloke and stuff, and all that sort of thing. So maybe that's maybe just saying that will have a little bit of help in that side of things. But maybe then if I could add a little bit, Greg, if you don't mind, talking about the stigma of personality disorder, especially borderline personality disorders. When I started psychology in my undergrad year, I was doing psychopathology. 2004, the class was, and the clinical psychologist lecturer said to the class, so he's teaching us all about the different types of diagnosis. He starts talking about personality disorder, and he said, if I have someone who walks in and their diagnosis is borderline personality disorder, I don't even work with them because it's just too difficult, and I don't want to have anything to do with that. And that's what I was told only 20 years ago in undergrad university. You don't know nothing when you're an undergrad, so you're getting told this by a professor who's a clinical psychologist, and you sort of take that on board and go, oh, wow, that's okay, I'll note that down. And I'm so glad that my internship came up through the government mental health services, where, there's more, the way the government mental health services work, you work with people for a very long time, and there's no real time limit, so you can work with them for longer. You said you were doing it for 6 months, right? Where in the private practice sector, you might only get 10 sessions. So I'm training DBT, what is the sort of the gold standard for personality disorders. And I've worked with a lot of people with borderline personality disorder over the years. And again, in the early days, to tell someone they had that diagnosis, they'd be in denial that, I've heard about that. That just means that I'm an arsehole and stuff, and they would deny it. So it was really, but I've sort of seen over the years, people are getting a little bit better at it and more willing. And you even said it yourself, being told what the diagnosis is, a bit of relief, right? That makes things start to make sense a little bit more about maybe some of the ways you were handling situations and emotions and stuff. So it's actually valuable, isn't it? Sort of learning about that sort of thing. So anyway, the point is, my story is about 20 years ago, I was told by my clinical psychologist supervisor that he doesn't want to work with them. And now I love doing DBT, and I do love working with people who've got borderline personality disorder, because you can work with them for a long time and you see how far they come. Working with them for 2-3 years and stuff, few steps forward, one step back. And also I really would like to see it far, far more destigmatized, more open, people being more aware of it and talking about it in a way that it's, to say, most people don't have an issue saying they've got a bit of anxiety these days. So hopefully it'll get to that. I mean, you threw it out there. I was a bit surprised, but, how do you sort of feel about talking about it yourself personally? And
I mean, it is what it is. Everyone has their own problems, I guess. I've always dealt with really bad anxiety. That's the tattoo on my chest is and Siobhan did that tattoo, and that's my anxiety basically, and that's how I always felt about it. If you see the big tattoo on my chest, it's just an outburst of emotions basically, I got that before I've had the BPD diagnosis, but it was just always like that literal feeling of anxiety was right in that center spot, and it always just kind of outburst. So I've never had a problem really talking about it. Obviously, I did when I was younger, but I've always kind of worn my heart on my sleeve. I would say, in the sense of, like, if you're having a tough time and talk about it, then the stigmatized male, keep the shit bottled in and don't say anything to anyone. Basically, it's old. No one. It's old and outdated, and maybe for our parents and stuff, that's cool. But in our generations, it's just too much suicide, young suicide especially, is going on, that you just, I don't know where it can just be finished with a good chat or some understanding a shoulder to talk to. So I think it's very important to be able to be open with it and honest with it and confront it instead of pushing it away and denying that it's there. It's just much more easy to be able to be yourself and come to terms with the problems that you do have and be able to work with them instead of trying to push them down. You're better off just you might never get over it, but at the same time, if you learn how to live with it, then it's much easier than trying to deny, I think. So I'm always open to talk about it.
Yeah, and again, maybe just the last little thing to add on to that, that's right, because that old clinical psychologist didn't really know how to treat it, didn't know much about DBT and so on. But the treatment works, not every therapy works for every single person, but DBT has been around since the 70s and it's still a thing. A lot of therapies come and go and go in vogue, go out of vogue. But if you can work your way through it, what your diagnosis is and the therapy that's sort of the one that's matched to it, things can definitely improve and get better, and and off you go to living a far better, wonderful life, and wonderful, right? So there, cool.
Well, I think that the biggest thing, I feel like the biggest thing there is to work for it. You got to work for it. It's like anything in life. If you want something, you got to work hard for it. And that's the same with mental health or whatever kind of therapy you're receiving. I think if you put the work in, then it's going to work. But if you don't, and you're just waiting for someone, you just go to see a psychologist to talk about your problems and then go home and say, "Oh, that was good." But you got to listen to the advice that the psychologists give you. You got to go home and do the homework, and you got to put things into practice instead of just hoping things will work.
Yeah.
And you're still gonna have your bad times where you've done all this hard work and it's not working. But I mean, it's just easier to manage at the end of the day, and it's going to be easier for you to nip in the bud before it gets uncontrollably bad.
Yeah, I totally hear you. That's right. It's easy to sort of. DBT is very much about doing the homework and doing the work, isn't it? Probably, I don't know, people could probably look at it. I think people are starting to learn a little bit about what it is. But one of the main key issues, I suppose, that people have borderline personality, the main thing is their emotions can be so much more intense and can, no fault of their own, but just one of the key things is, emotional regulation. So if something, upsetting happens to someone, borderline personality disorder, it's just far, far more upsetting. And that's why it's sort of on the other end of the coin. If they feel love for the first, after maybe a couple of weeks, it's a mad love, isn't it? Rather than just, I think they're pretty. This chick's, this person's pretty cool. I'm sort of feeling hot from them. It just goes. The intensity of the emotion is so much more.
They're your world.
yeah, they're your world. So then when you think of it like that, so when the breakup happens and like, you know, it's just maybe only been a couple of weeks and they're all super heartbroken and feeling all suicidal and, you know, hopefully not, but, you know, maybe there's the self-harm and all the serious hardcore drug abuse to numb the emotion. So that's what the problem, where problems, not the problem of borderline personality, but where the problems come from, because just this emotional regulation is so difficult, a bit neurological, a little bit of maybe some learned stuff, but not going to get into that too much. But yeah, then like a distress tolerance. So something bad happens. It's just so much more distressing. It's just so much more overwhelming. So again, that's why you can see issues with sort of drug and alcohol problems or, you know, suicidal sort of behaviours and stuff. So, yeah, so again, like everything else, it can be treated. Then if you do the work, you can overcome it and you know, not have it that define you as much as just, you know, sort of who you are. So yeah, it's a very interesting subject. Again, brought up at the very end, Greg, but that's fine, you know. But yeah, it's good. I was sort of saying only 15 minutes ago, I was like, oh, I haven't really added much psychology to this conversation because we're just sort of, you know, talking about your, you know, some fun party lyrics and everything. But we definitely got a massive hit of it at the last 15 minutes. So really, yeah, well, good to bring it up, and I appreciate you being open and talking about it. And maybe, who knows, maybe at a different podcast at a different time we can sort of dive more into that sort of stuff, if you know, if we'd like. Yeah. So look, I think, but in saying that though, we've had a pretty good long chat. It's been super interesting. I like to do a little bit of a summary for the person at the end, and we've sort of done it already, but I think just reading your lyrics and just sort of knowing you and stuff, and a bit, you know, like there's a certain there's got to be a certain eccentricness in a person who plays in a pirate band and stuff. So you're right. You know, I do know you, and you are quite an introvert. You don't. If I saw you walking down the street, other than, you know, you got a pretty cool haircut and stuff, but you're not really sort of a outwardly eccentric person. But, you know, just the way that, you know, your theatre and everything gets in there. So I think like Lagerstein is a way where you can, you know, you even said it yourself, so I'm not really coming to any brilliant conclusions, but, you know, you can sort of express yourself and, you know, be you and be all out there and have control of an audience and thousands of people and also have them in the palm of your hand, but then you also can sort of go back and hide at the bathroom afterwards. So I think, you know, you've been in the band for, like you said, like, was it 10, 13 years or whatever. So it makes sense why you've been in this band for so long, you know, and you're still striving on through all the, you know, obviously the highs and the lows of the band and maybe some of your personal mental health issues and stuff. But it totally makes sense as to why, you know, you're in this band, you love this band, and why you still are and all that. So yeah, listen to your lyrics and your story. It puts, you know, Captain Gregor the pirate into context, you know, really, really well. So yeah, good. It's good. Nice little ending, I think. So yeah, like maybe I'll let the last minute or two, I'll hand over to you, Greg. A bit of anything you feel you need to promote or anything. Obviously, there'll be links to anything you want. You send them through to me, and I put all the links in the bottom. But anything you want to, closing comments, anything you want to promote or anything like that, by all means, the stage is yours for the last closing bit.
Yeah, thank you, mate. There's not too much to promote at the moment, besides from just going to see local bands. You know, going to support local music, and it really needs everyone's help at the moment. But just go to as many shows as you can. Obviously, times are tough and money is tight, but you know, the music industry is going to die otherwise. So you can see it with the zoo closing down and all this sort of shit happening. You know, so promoters are always just getting fucked, and it's just like, you know, people really need everyone's support, everyone's help to make this music industry really grow. I think, you know, and you see just a decline over the past few years throughout Australia and different cities and whatever else. So it's sad to see. So I want to, you know, especially COVID obviously was sore times, but you know, we're past that now, and we're still picking up the pieces. But I mean, it should get back to just roaring. You know, the music scene should be going off, and I think that's one of the biggest messages I put forth at the end of the show. I say thanks to everyone, and I say thanks to all our crew and whatever else, but especially to everyone who's turned up to our show, because it's just supporting us and supporting live music. And I think this really needs to be a big push. Like in Europe, it's awesome. It's got such a good scene over there. I think Australia can be a little bit better. It's good, but it can be better. So I think people just need to come out and support more. But
All righty, cool, Greg. Well, look, yeah, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you coming on and stuff, and good, and yeah, everything about there was a good laugh. There was some serious stuff. Good message at the end too. I think what was nice, because we snuck in a really good positive message at the end of the, but what was really good too. So yeah, let's call it out. Let's wrap it up. It's been a good long chat. This is the longest one I've done, but it's all been very interesting. So I've absolutely no complaints about it. Greg, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you around the traps. I'm really sure.
It's the Lyrical Wax. The Lyrical